We will call the 6 p.m. joint meeting with Clay County Commission to order. Katie, will you call roll?
Pollard. Here. Weaver. Here. Price. Here. Holland.
Here.
Genowine. Here. Helwig. Here. Cheeseman. Here. Murrah. Here. Mayor.
Here.
You want to just finish your half?
Sure, we can certainly do that. Has everyone had a chance to review the joint jurisdiction meeting agenda? So are there any changes to that agenda, or is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Councilor Holland, and a second by Councilor Helwig. Any other discussion on the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed saying nay. Go ahead.
Call Clay County to order. Start with roll call.
Mossberg.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Teasy.
Here.
Graylow.
Here.
Brady.
Here. Any conflict of interest declarations? Hearing none, approval of agenda? So moved. Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All same sign, motion passes.
All right, visitors to be heard. Are there any visitors to be heard on anything not on the agenda today for the joint jurisdiction meeting? I do understand that the council has a meeting afterwards, and we'll have another visitors to be heard during that section. So this is just for the joint jurisdiction. Are you doing it for joint jurisdiction or just the city one? Because we got a city meeting after this.
Joint.
Okay, go
If I
ahead.
could, please. Dr. Damon Elvey, Vermillion School Superintendent. I usually get the opportunity to come and thank both the councils and the county commission separately, but since you're here tonight, I'd like to take the opportunity to once again thank you publicly for your contributions to our public school system, namely the things that most people remind me of, and you guys are most notable for, is providing our SRO programs. The Clay County Sheriffs have a presence in our buildings, as well as does the Vermillion Police Department in our buildings, due to your budgeting and your foresight to help keep those buildings safe. So we wanted to thank you in light of all the things that happen nationally. It is really a peace of mind to have your support and the support of law enforcement in our buildings. But more importantly than that, sometimes is all the little things the county does and the city does to help our school district run, whether it's keeping roads open for school business. County roads can be really messy and sloppy and difficult to get down with big buses, and over again, your superintendent of roads does a great job of making sure that our roads are safe for kids to drive on and for our buses to get to. And of course, the city doing the same thing within the city limits, helping with our parades and helping with all things that are important to public education. So I just wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to get before you and thank you on behalf of our staff and our students and our families. So thank you again.
Are there any other visitors to be heard? Okay. Seeing none, move to joint old business. We have a second reading of ordinance 1533. It's a reference of light industrial district zoning and permitted use. Who wants to start it off? Noah?
Yep, so it's going to be the same paper that we had last week, or the previous meeting. I have the affidavits of publication for all the meetings and newspapers that we've had. But on top of that, in front of you guys, I gave you a noise level, and then on the back side is what is called a tugger. It's just a diesel truck. It can jump on and off the rails as needed. It's quiet. The 80 part is going to be the louder side. As you can see, it's more quiet than a lawnmower. And then below that is the normal conversation, so at the idle. So, but other than that, it's going to be an amendment to the light industrial. New cars can't be made there, but rail cars themselves can be fixed there, along with getting cleaned. 99.9% of the time, it's just water or air. So, and then we also made it so there's hours of 6 to 9, along with having, if they do wash it, all the containments is contained to the site. So, is there any questions about that so far?
I couldn't hear the first part of what you said.
Hold on one second, sir. Before we do that, we'll have Jose present, and then we'll have public comment, then we'll do the questions.
Okay.
All
I think
right?
he was just clarifying what you just said.
Oh, okay. If you just want to repeat yourself real quick.
Oh, yep.
Thank you, I couldn't hear it.
So it's going to be the light industrial, so it's going to be the noise levels that I have in front of you guys. It's going to be the loudest part is going to be how loud it will be in the facility at that time. So 80 to 85 at the higher end. And this comes from the American Academy of Audiology. But then it's going to be more quiet than a lawnmower around an alarm clock at the site. So as distance travels, trees and all those other things, it will get dampened. So, but then on this page, this is what is called a tugger. It's just a beefed up truck that can go up onto the rails. You can drive it on and off, and it just moves the actual carts around. So when it comes to noise, you know, it's not gonna be on the rail all the time. It's just gonna drive up, plant itself, and then do what it needs to do, and then park at night. So,
So my question would just be, so do we have a limit to the decibels that are appropriate there? Or are you saying that, based on your understanding of what railroad repair yards are like?
Correct.
Their maximum volume on site would be about 85 decibels, which is the threshold for hearing damage on site, so people should be wearing hearing protection on site, but it necessarily will be decreasing off site, so it'll be less than that everywhere else. Is that what you're trying to say? I just want to make sure I
correct,
understand.
yeah. I'm just,
But
you
there's
know,
there's no standard in our current ordinance, what we considered last time, that sets a specific limit or anything. That's just your understanding of what is that like an OSHA standard or?
correct. So that's the research I've done into the actual train repair and to the noise level of this vehicle that moves the cars around. This is the output of it. And then the other research I did for a normal grain elevator is about 112 at max. So, and that's what that facility would do right now if it was running the fans.
Councilor Howard?
Related question. So on that noise level, you're saying we're expecting intermittent noise and no more than 3 hours in total. Is that correct? No. Right? Or is it's 6
Yes.
AM to 9 PM? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Yeah.
But we're expecting it to be intermittent noise, right? We're not expecting this to be a
It's not a
constant.
constant. No,
That was
no.
my-
So the 85 is max.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the loudest it will be.
Occasionally need to shuffle carts around, and whenever they're doing that. When they're pushing as hard as possible, it'll be around 85, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Councilor Lieber?
You mentioned all the water will be contained on site. How are you gonna do that? I mean, if you're gonna be using a lot of powerful water to clean these things off, it's gonna go somewhere. So how do you contain it?
Right, so what they do, obviously because it's a grain cart, right? There's a chute, they put buckets and like containment units under the spillway. So when they wash it, the particles from the corn and beans that were stuck inside there come down with the water.
So
And
then
so they're
what
just
what happens
collecting.
to it after that?
Well, and then they put it in a containment system and then have it shipped off.
Okay, it's shipped out. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So for concerns about the Vermillion River, you know, that's why I put this in there.
Any other questions for Noah at all from the city council? County? Oh, I'm sorry.
My usual question, nothing has changed from
Mike?
the first reading?
Correct. Yep, everything's the same. So just giving more information.
Yeah. Jose, do you have anything to present on this?
No, I don't have anything to add besides the comment or the answer to a question Mr. Holland asked as far as changes from previous meeting. There's no changes. And being second reading, then the roll call vote is required.
Thank you. Is there any members of the public wanting to talk on this? Again, this is for the joint jurisdiction reference to rezoning classification just outside of town, the west end, or by Ag Op. Go ahead and just come forward. If you want to state your name and your address on the mic, please, for the record. Oh, you, ma'am, will work fine. Yep.
My name is Sue Christensen. I live at 1818 Constance Drive, which is immediately next door to the proposed subject property. My concern is the noise level. And in researching the information that was available, I see that the proposed hours of operation are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., which, living right next door, seems pretty excessive to me. The information that I have is that the noise anticipated should not be more than a lawnmower, but we don't know whether we're talking about a lawnmower from the hardware store or a commercial lawnmower. I am hopeful that perhaps the hours could be amended. 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. any day of the week is a direct quote from the information that I have.
Those would be the limits, as I'm understanding that. And it's just for, since referencing the same document that Noah was providing us,
Thank you,
things in
Kevin.
the same category as lawnmowers, so at about 90 decibels, lawnmowers, power tools, blenders, and hair dryers. So some of those other ones might give us more of an idea of kind of just some other examples that are provided in the same document of other things that would be, and that would be louder than what Noah is saying the maximum volume would be at this site. So, and that would be on site, so.
Also, it would be helpful, I understand that there are non-disclosure agreements in place, but it would be very helpful to be able to go to one of the current locations and see for ourselves what the operation looks like. Is that possible at all?
Is anyone aware of any operating railroad repair yards in the region that a person could request a tour of? Any representatives of, yeah. I'm not saying specifically necessarily any companies that have expressed interest in this site. I mean, what we're deciding right now is a permitted use that would apply to any company, so any company.
Oh, for any company, I see.
That's correct. So we're adding a permitted use.
Okay.
We're considering adding a permitted use that any railroad repair company would be able to, as long as they applied the standards that we have in the ordinance, they'd be allowed to operate there without
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you still had some comments then? Yep, come on forward, just state your name and address for the record, please. And I apologize, you might have to get a little close to the mic so people can hear you.
That's all right. Patrick Roach, 1818 Constance. I think I'm most concerned about pneumatic wrenches. It would be nice if that's going to be a part of this, and I would imagine it will be if there's going to be repair and cleaning. If that could be restricted within the 6 to 9 timeframe, if maybe that doesn't happen all the time, that'd be sort of rough if it was when we all get home from work or, before like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I couldn't tell from the stuff that I've seen in the paper if a lot of this is going to be done in that building that's kind of back there, or if there's going to need to be reconstruction on the site for somebody to do this, if anybody has that information, or if I just overlooked it, which I could have.
I think as the ordinance is written by my reading, if someone is repairing a rail car, they could be doing so indoors or outdoors, whichever works for their needs. I think
Okay.
there's nothing in the ordinance that seems to indicate things need to be enclosed or.
And this is an ordinance that's not specifically for one company.
Yeah.
This doesn't state that this is going to be their hours. Their hours may very well be 8 to 5.
Yeah.
We're not setting their hours by that. That just gives a parameter of when they're allowed to work.
Yeah.
within
8 to 5 would
those
be great.
hours. So,
But yeah.
I mean, we're not a company we're not in the business of telling a company when they have to work, but that's just a parameter. So they very well could work 9 to 5, 8 to 5, that's gonna be their decision.
Okay. So then, could the ordinance be until 5 PM? Rather than 6 AM to 9?
That's not something we really wanna restrict.
Well, okay. I'd love it if you did, but,
It sets a bad precedent for other businesses.
Yes, for other business looking at our county to come bring people in.
yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other visitors to be heard? Come, ma'am, you can come forward.
My name is Kelly Purse. I'm at 1330 Overdrive. I'm also representing Cheryl O'Connor, who did not know about this meeting, and her property is basically against the current property in question. I have a really hard time thinking that you can crash like train cars together and not make any noise. I really have a hard time believing that. I know they're going to have to move these trains, and it's not a quiet thing. It never has been, it never will be. It's not silent, it's crashing sounds, which, you know, if you happen to have small children or something, that's not something you want them to wake up to. Scare the hell out of them. Also, I want to know if there's an easement that actually runs that's supposedly an access road through our property. Are there any plans to build a road there?
I don't know anything about that aspect of it. And it is important, I think, for people to note too, that this, what we would be changing is permitted use for light industrial anywhere. So,
Right,
know,
but
this
you
would
just
be-
upped light industrial to train repair. That's, to me, that's not light industrial, that's heavy.
So this would be one location that this standards would apply, you know, but not all of them.
I know, you guys make your decision before we even get here.
Is there another visitor?
Can you hear me on this one okay? So Jim Peterson, Vermillion Chamber and Development Company. Just want to reiterate a couple points that we talked about last time on this rail car repair. And we do have a rep from the company, and I do have an NDA, so can't state a name at this time, competitive reasons, wishes that. So one, just to frame it again, type of rail cars they work on, 99% are grain cars because we're in the Midwest. About 15 to 25 cars is the anticipation would come in by the railroad and drop off to be inspected, then repaired. We did talk about the tugger and what level the noise is. That's just intermittent because they'll do their inspection, repair, then move it. PP hearing protection is optional at their other locations, so there's no other location they own similar to this in my research that what will be.
So what you're saying, Jim, is there's no motion requirement for their hearing protection?
My understanding.
Optional for the employee.
At their current locations, yes. And current locations are in Minnesota, North Dakota, Iowa. And they've been asked to come here by their end user customers because it's closer for them to do the work on the railroad. At this time, the parts will be stored indoor, and we reiterated that last time. The track is outdoors, so the inspection and some of that repair will be outside. They handle no hazardous material. We brought up the cleaning process, et cetera. If there is dirty water, it would be held for pickup by a licensed third party. For disposal, no risk by contaminants by the river. And they don't really wash that many cars, is my understanding. For the community, it's about 15 plus 25 jobs, very family wages, full benefits, et cetera, tax revenue on utilities, it's more value to the property. They would make every effort to use our local contractors on work, et cetera. And the Governor's Office of Economic Development is supportive of the project, is supplying them a loan, for this project, a portion of it. Any other questions for me that you would like? Yes, sir.
Well, one thing, I guess, back to your point, ma'am, too, is the last time we met, there was a discussion that the cars would only be unloaded like at noon on Thursday. Is that still?
I don't know. I can't answer that. The rep here may want to come up when I'm done. But I don't know if they can dictate to the railroad, but they would work with the railroad on that. What is in their control when we did the discussion, planning and zoning last meeting, right? For businesses, this business or others, you need flexibility to make things work. So that's where it was determined and approved by both sides, let's say from both councils, 6 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. for flexibility. I know their normal operating hours are usually during the week, 6:30 to 5. But again, that gives them flexibility if work demands or if something comes up unexpectedly. So it doesn't make sense to have controls on it if we know, right? You got to give them flexible to run their business, make money, and I think that's where you folks approved or came to that hour range. So I don't know if I answered your question well enough.
Well, I just remember that coming up, that there was kind of a window that the cars should come in. So, you know, as far as waking up somebody early in the
Right, I think the
morning.
intent is that, but we could have the rep, Coles, who's here, come up with me or after me and answer other questions. They want to be a long-term, good community partner, so we're going to work all together on that. Any other things, or I'd ask, Cole, would you want to come up, say, answer that? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Hi, everyone. Cole Crosby, but under NDA, but I'm from North Dakota. And just to answer your question on the rail cars coming in and clashing together, you are correct. It is our thought that the railroad would drop off cars once a week in daylight hours, call it Thursday at noon, potentially 2 times a week, but it would always be in the middle of the day or during the day, working business hours. So, yeah. Is there any other questions other than that? I will reiterate too, you know, this is definitely not heavy industrial. This is certainly light industrial work, inspection, assembly, and light welding, light repair. So, you know, not heavy welding. We're not welding on rail cars all day long. It is light assembly, light welding, light repair. So,
Let me ask you this question, Cole. In your line of work, do you see other companies, projects like this in close proximity to housing residential areas with any issues or anything like that in other areas across the country or states?
well, I can't speak for other companies, but I can speak for my own, which, you know, we have one of our locations in Minnesota that is within a city, a little bit smaller than this, but within a city with a house that is 100 to 200 yards away, and we've never had any issues. And it's within city limits as well, near call it 400 yards from a large residential housing block. So never had any issues. You know, we work typically 4 days a week, 6:30 to 5 is our typical hours. You know, but have to work some overtime on Friday mornings typically. You know, our work typically slows down more so in the winter because, you know, a lot of our work is outside. So just based on daylight hours. In the summer, we try to get as much work done as we can. And, you know, we have 2 locations near housing like this. And I will say this is a little bit of a unique situation here in Vermillion that we're targeting. You know, we're trying to be very conscious of the homeowners in our area or in the area here. You know, that tugger that Noah showed a picture of earlier, that is not a standard piece of equipment that other companies use. It is built to be quiet. It is built to be able to be put away inside of a building out of respect for the landowners nearby. If you were to go look at our competitors in other areas of the Midwest, a lot of them use locomotives. And as we all know, the locomotives are much louder, much more aggressive than what we're proposing to use as the rail car mover. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
So in general, you'll be done by 5? Is that what you're telling us?
You know, I can't guarantee that. You know, our standard hours are 6:30 to 5, Monday through Thursday. If we have overtime come up, you know, that could stretch to 6 or 6:30. Primarily, that would be during the summer months when, you know, we still have daylight. You know, I can't guarantee that we won't work past 5, but it's not our standard hours. So, yeah, I want to be, you know, we want to be transparent with all of you, and I'm giving as much information as I can without, you know, crossing any gray lines. So,
Thank you. Any other questions, Cole, or comments? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Are there any other visitors to be heard? Seeing none, governing bodies have any comments or questions or concerns?
At the previous meeting, you know, I don't think there was no opposition expressed at that meeting. One question that I have for the representatives that also sit on their planning and zoning commissions, it seems like based on Noah bringing some information to our attention, you know, that there had been some discussion about noise levels Do you have anything to share? Were there comments received? Was that an item of discussion at the planning and zoning levels? My understanding of how I think this process should work ideally is that most of it is hammered out at the planning and zoning commission level. Issues like that, compromises that need to be struck. I think there are appropriate compromises. So, that's the purpose of my inquiry there. So is that something that was worked upon?
We did talk about noise levels extensively at planning and zoning, because that was a concern of the planning and zoning members, my concern, Noah's concern, everybody's concerned. And Noah did extensive research into it he took decimal meters. I mean, basically his findings were, his readings were basically standing next to the machine. I mean, that's how loud it is when you're right in the vicinity of the machine. So you get, he didn't, to my knowledge, he didn't do yardage away, this is how loud it is, 100 yards or anything like that. But, I mean, I don't feel there was a need to. He gave the information, and like Jim stated, I mean, this company is not required by OSHA to where hearing detection working. I mean, that speaks volumes on the noise level.
And I was going to share, I think, part of my perspective on the noise level. I do own a house that's immediately on the bluff, within a few hundred yards of an active grain elevator, and it can be quite loud. So I look at the decibel levels that we have in front of us, and if we're talking about this capping out at 85, and that 120 is more like what is being generated on site at the grain elevator that's just a little ways away from me. That's a logarithmic scale. That's substantially louder, and it was annoying. So, part of my reasoning as we consider this additional use is that particular site, I think that this is motivated. It applies to all the light industrial areas in the joint jurisdiction, but it is motivated by that particular site, and that is not, it's been a grain elevator in the past, but it's also been sitting up for sale for quite a while. And so one of the reasons that I am generally in favor of this this additional permitted use is another option that actually could be quieter than the previous use on that site. It might be a way to have some light industrial development that would have some good paying jobs and potentially have something that actually would have a lower sound impact on neighboring people than a grain elevator going back into operation there. So just sharing part of my reasoning on it there.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Any other comments from the council at all? Is there a
I'll move to
motion approved by Councilor Holland? Is there a second? Second by Councilor Toller. For the city council, any other comments on there? Roll call vote, Katie.
Pollard? Yes. Weaver? Yes. Price? Yes. Holland?
Yes.
Genowine?
Yes.
Hellwig? Yes. Cheeseman?
Yes.
Murrah? Mayor Cole?
Yes. 9 yeas, 0 nays, passes the city council. Go ahead.
Move to approve. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Hearing none, roll call.
Hochler?
Yes.
Gilbertson?
Yes.
Teasy?
Yes.
Greenlow?
Yes.
Brady?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion carries both governing bodies. Thank you. Next item we have is, I can pull up my computer. Thank you. Discussion of the building permit changes for public sector buildings. Who's presenting that? Is that you, Commissioner Mockler?
I can.
It was my idea. After the school, after they built their facility, we're building our facility. You guys presented a building permit, or applied for a building permit for, I think it was your wastewater. And I think you guys know that we, how do I want to say that? We waived the fee. We waived the permitting fee. Yeah. So we just figured maybe we should, between the city and the county and the school board or school district, we should have a resolution that it doesn't charge building permits or inspection fees.
Okay. Before you go, Jose, can you just have them step over there thank you. Yeah.
You can't close the doors.
I know, I'm just, have them step over. Well, the doors are unlocked. So you're just saying just to waive them all for the three entities?
Yeah, we just have a resolution that that's what, just going forward. We have an application fee of $75. I think that should be put in place for everybody, just so, I mean, you still have to come get the permit, just so everybody knows, so they can follow setbacks and everything, but, I mean, everything else would apply except for the fees.
Okay.
Other than the application fee.
Sure. Is there any visitors to be heard on this? I see that we still have the superintendent for the school district, and if he wants to weigh in at all.
What do you think about this?
Obviously, yeah, Dr. Damon Elvey, Superintendent of Vermillion Schools, we'd be supportive. Obviously, we don't have any big building projects in the near future, but it would be a great opportunity to save some money for the taxpayers if we were ever to go that direction again, so.
Any other visitors to be heard on this? All right, now bodies for any discussion on it? I don't see an issue with it. I mean, essentially all we're doing right now, if we pay a building permit fee, it's going from one pocket to the next. I mean, the taxpayers are, you know, if it's the city paying it for, this case, the wastewater, then we're going to the county, but when the county builds a building like the law enforcement center, it's coming back over, and I think it'd be, like Dr. Alvey said, it'd be efficient for the taxpayers not to have to see that it was basically those administrative costs going from pocket to pocket. Counselor Holland?
I want to ask something from the audience. John, what do we have to do? Do we need to write an ordinance, both county and then city separately? Or, because this is just a discussion. What
Right, I don't think it's going to be an ordinance.
Resolution or MOU, something like that is what I'd suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we would just, and we can come up with something, and we'll just, we don't have to have a joint meeting on this, because we'll just,
okay.
we'll pass it at our level, we'll send it to you, you guys do what you want with it, and then you can send it on to the school board. That's how I envision it, so.
Okay.
That's all it would take?
I don't have any issue with it. Obviously, before anything would to be approved, we'd have to probably make sure our respective legal counsels say everything's all up in order on it, but I don't have any issue with it.
Well, I mean, yeah, because, and John's aware of it also, and I don't know if you're an attorney, but home rule charters can't charge the building permits, so I mean.
Right.
It just takes away a lot of that
Okay.
gray area of what you can charge, and it just, like you said, we're taking it out of one pocket and putting it in the other.
I don't see any issue with that. Does any other council members have any issue with that? Makes sense. Well, I don't think, there's no motions that need to be made on that, but certainly let the staff work on that and we can see it in a future meeting. Appreciate it, guys. Anything else on that? Seeing none, for the joint jurisdiction, is there a motion to adjourn on the council side? Motion by Counselor Cheeseman, second by Counselor Lieber. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. City's adjourned.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.
We're going to take a brief 2-minute recess and we'll reconvene for the city. We'll call the regular scheduled 6 p.m. meeting for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025 for the city of Vermillion to order. Katie, will you call roll?
Toller. Lieber. Price. Holland. Genowine. Hellwig. Cheeseman. Murrah. Mayor Cole.
Here, will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the August 13th budget meeting, the August 18th joint meeting with Clay County, the August 18th special meeting, and the August 18th regular meeting. A lot of meeting minutes. Okay, if you had a chance to review those, is there a motion?
It's wonderful reading. I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Counselor Holland, is there a second? Second by Counselor Genowine. Any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion carries. Adoption of the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review tonight's agenda? If so, is there any changes or a motion to adopt?
Approval of agenda, sorry.
Motion to adopt the agenda by Counselor Price. Is there a second by Counselor Genowine? Yes. Second by Counselor Genowine. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Agenda is adopted. Visitors to be heard. For visitors to be heard, if you're addressing the council, please come forward, state your name and your address at the podium with the microphone. Members of the public may speak under visitors to be heard for items not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes and no decision will be made at this time. For each agenda item, public testimony will be taken by the beginning of each agenda item by the subject, after the subject has been announced and explained by the staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak for one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item. Public testimony will then be closed and given to the governing body for discussion. At that point, only city council members and staff may discuss the current agenda item unless there is a council member who moves to allow another person to speak and unanimous consent from the council. Questions, however, may be directed to the staff or member of the public through the presiding officer at any time. On that, is there any visitors to be heard on an item that's not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to our first public hearing today. It's a first reading of ordinance 1538. This is to amend the zoning regulations from R2 and R4 to R3 in the Michael's edition, which is in the area of Adams Street. Go ahead, Jose.
Thank you. So Mr. William Wood, owner of the land, has requested that the city rezone his property from R2 residential district and R4 residential district to the R3 residential district. There is a map, an exhibit here. The property that we're discussing would be bounded by the red line. And as you can see, this is Adams Street right over here, Madison. As you can see, the property is split between the two districts, with the northern third being in the R4 district, which allows mobile homes, and the south 2/3, roughly speaking, would be in the R2 district, which does not allow mobile homes, but allows for smaller apartment dwellings and single-family homes and so forth. Mr. Wood's desire for rezoning his property is to construct future apartments within that area. Having them rezoned into the R3 district will allow Mr. Wood to have a higher density construction or project as what is offered within the R2 district, and obviously the R4 does not allow for apartments, so that would limit his use of his property. Zoning this lot into the R3 district would not necessarily be considered a hindrance or a negative impact to the neighborhood. The area has already residential uses such as mobile homes in the area. There are also fraternities either close right here in Madison. This is also owned by a fraternity right over here. There's also apartments on the east side of Adams. So the use is already intensive if you want to consider them that way. The item was considered by the city's Planning and Zoning Commission at their August 25th meeting. There were 5 members of the public at that meeting. 2 of them were residents. One of those 2 actually provided a letter that was read at the meeting that was provided to the city council within the packet. And that letter was in opposition to the rezone. The other individual that attended the meeting was also in opposition to the rezone. Again, both of them were residents. They were mainly concerned with being displaced if the rezone did take place. The other 3 members in attendance at the meeting were owners or owners representatives, and they were obviously in favor of the rezone. After discussion, the commission voted 4-2 to recommend the city council adopt the rezone as proposed. So there were no changes. What you see today is in the first reading was what was proposed at that meeting. Staff is aware that the existing residents in the area may be displaced by possible future development caused by the rezone. but they could also be displaced by an expiration of the lease contract, which currently the residents are in a 30-day lease agreement, or by a change in rent. All of these forms, the people may be displaced they cannot be stopped by the city, I guess, to put it bluntly. All of these instances, the displacement is a civil matter between the owner of the mobile homes and the owner of the land. However, the city can delay the effective date of the rezone. Delaying the effective date of the ordinance will give the existing residents time to relocate within the community. For example, they could possibly move their mobile home to other trailer courts or to different locations within the trailer court itself. The owner of the land, Mr. Wood, has been in discussions with Plum Vista Trailer Court, the trailer court here to the north. He has been in discussions with them to see if there's a possibility of moving some of these existing trailers within the area to be rezoned into that part of the trailer court, or if there are vacant ones that may be used by some of the residents within the trailer court that we're considering, or that portion of the trailer court that we're considering. Staff is unsure how long the delay can be, as the composition of the city council may change in July 2026. The city council has been asked to hold a public hearing on this item. Staff and the city's planning and zoning commission are in favor of rezoning the area described previously, and that the city council advance the ordinance for consideration and a final determination at a second reading on September 15th, 2025. However, staff further recommends that a discussion be considered on moving the effective date of the ordinance from October 16th, 2025 to a later date.
Thank you, Jose. Are there any visitors to be heard on this topic? Jose?
I do have a letter from one of the residents, Ms. Julie Berry. She did ask me to read the letter. I have presented one of them, the letter to each of you. She did ask me to read it out loud, so it's included in the minutes as well.
Go ahead.
So, all right, again, Ms. Julie Berry, she resides at 447 North Plum, number 53. Dear Vermillion City Council members, I am writing to strongly oppose the proposed rezoning of Plum Vista Trailer Court from a mobile home community to apartments. I have called Plum Vista Trailer Court my home for almost 40 years. It is not just a piece of property. It is where I have built my life, raised my family, and created lasting connections with my neighbors. I know that 6 families in a city of about 12,000 may seem small, but this is my world. I raised my family here. My husband passed away here. Plum Vista Trailer Court has been my anchor, and now that anchor is in jeopardy. Losing it would not just mean losing a place to live, it would mean losing stability, history, and the heart of my family, of my life, Rezoning Plum Vista Trailer Court would displace the 6 households who live here, families, seniors, and working people who have invested decades into this community. For many of us, relocation is not a realistic option. The financial and emotional hardship of losing our homes would be devastating. Affordable housing is already scarce in Vermillion. Communities like Plum Vista Trailer Court are one of the last safe and affordable housing choices left for people on fixed incomes, retirees, and working families. Once they are gone, they cannot be replaced. Replacing our homes with apartments does not preserve affordability, it erases it. I urge you to think about the human impact of this decision. This is not only about land use, it is about people's lives, stability, and dignity. Uprooting longtime residents for development may benefit the owner, but it harms the very community you were elected to serve. While I pray for a no vote on this rezoning, I also know the decision may not go my way. If it does not, I respectfully ask for clarity on how the new owner will assist us with relocation, what the timeline would be, and what will happen to our lot rent in the meantime. I also ask that we, the residents of Plum Vista Trailer Court, be included in updates, such as when permits are issued, if extensions are granted, or expectations change, so we can prepare for the future as best we can. Please vote no on the proposed rezoning of Plum Vista Trailer Court and stand with the Vermillion residents who simply want to remain in their homes. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Ms. Julie Berry.
Thank you. Are there any other visitors to be heard on this?
Jim Peterson, Vermillion Chamber and Development Company. Just wanted to speak, as we looked at housing, we know affordable housing, we've talked on multifamily housing in Vermillion. As planning and zoning said, the property owner that bought this property is Mr. Wood. He is here tonight, may make a few comments after. We know mobile homes are personal property. I think at planning and zoning, ALEC framed that. So that is personal property where the property owner owns land underneath. It came to light at that meeting, they are 30-day leases on their property. They disclose what rents are, which are substantially lower than some other trailer parks in Vermillion, and that is up to the new owner to work with them on what is the appropriate rent, timeline, etc. So I get the human side. There are 6 families affected, or 6 pieces of property. At that planning and zoning meeting, they talked with Mr. Walker here, who relocated some other homes at times, or couldn't relocate other homes from a different property in town. So we looked at what could be relocated, what's appropriate of the 6 realistically could be moved, etc. So I get that side of it. I also get the other side from development and a property owner. I think Mr. Wood spoke with me earlier today and will come up and talk, and he knows in trying to work with those owners there, he would not do any development probably till second quarter, if no earlier than second quarter like next year, but he can speak more directly what that means, etc., if you have questions for him. So on behalf of the Chamber Economic Development, we get both sides of this from the existing 6 folks there, but we also see from the owner of the property, Mr. Wood, and would recommend you vote yes on this. So do you want to come up and say a few words, Bill?
Hello, I'm William Wood. I am the property owner on Adams Street that we purchased approximately in June. There are some misconceptions on what I plan on doing there and when. And talking with the city, I want to be a good neighbor, and I want to, obviously, there's going to be changes. Life is full of changes. When that will happen, I don't know yet, but it's upcoming. I talked with Jose, I've talked to Mr. Cole, and, I'm willing to, June of '26, wait for anything to change, help, if I can, some of the people that live there. I've talked to Brad that I bought the trailer court from, and they're willing to help, take them as, if they can move their trailers, I don't know. I don't own the trailers, but they're old. So financial assistance, I don't really think that's what I'm here for, but I want to help how I can. And I know my property manager has been in contact with the people that live there about what's going on. There's been communication. We're not hiding anything. So, yeah, it is an emotional issue, and I understand that some people will be moving when we move forward. So, but I want to make that as easy for everybody as possible, because it's not easy for me either. I mean, you just don't go in and buy a piece of property and say, hey, I'm going to do this now. It doesn't work that way, and I don't want that. I don't want to see someone down the street that they come up and give me a comment sometime that I did it the wrong way. So I'm here to do it the right way, work with the city, work with the tenants over there now, and that's the direction I'm going. But I'm willing to, do the June of 26, or I think Jose said, was it the end of June?
I didn't say anything.
You didn't say anything? Okay, well then, June 1st, since most leases are up in town May 31st, I will not, and I need to sign something, I won't do anything, move forward with anything until June 1st of 2026, so. Any questions?
Thank you. We'll take questions after this, if that's okay, Mr. Wood.
Yeah.
Sit down, and then, is there any other visitors to be here on this? Seeing none now for the governing body, is there any questions for anybody, any of the visitors that were heard, or any discussion? Counselor Cheeseman?
So, Mr. Wood, you said that you would provide assistance, but not financial assistance. What does that assistance look like?
Well, talking with
Brad, the other owners?
They have spots open if they can move their trailer. Those trailers are fairly old. So I don't know statewide or national-wide if they can even be moved. Even if they could, like John said in our zoning meeting, if they pick them up to move them, like with Todd Polling's development, a lot of them just snapped. I mean, they're not, I don't know. But we'll put them in contact with the right people, with the trailer court next door, if they choose to go over there. I know they have some ones they've remodeled, if they want to move into one of their existing ones, if they can't move theirs. So that's, you know, whatever I guess ideas you would have. But yeah, we want to work with them.
So I just want to understand a little bit on this. So the previous owner still owns the other part of the trailer park? You don't own that? So you bought part of the trailer park?
I bought the trailer court that's right across the street from the apartments I own.
Okay.
And part of the reason I bought that is because it needs to be tuned up. You know, it needs, if you drove by there, it needs to be cleaned up.
Okay, thank you.
Any of your comments or questions from council? Councilor Price?
Jose, I just have a question on the map. So the pink part of the property, right,
Yeah,
has trailers on it currently?
yeah, correctly.
And so they are currently a non-conforming use?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, that was my question.
Councilor Genoway?
Yeah, I actually have a related question. Do we know when these were zoned R2? How did, that probably goes back before your time, but how did that happen?
I'm going to say that this area has been rezoned this way since 2008. That's when the city adopted the existing zoning code. Prior to that, I'm not exactly sure. I could find out, but I don't have that answer at this moment.
Just to clarify for the public, Jose, it's the southern half there is R2, the northern half is R4. Can you explain the differences?
So R2 would essentially be a denser. You can have residential, both of them are residential zoning districts. The R1 would be typically where you see just single-family homes, and R2 is just a step above that, where you can actually have what typically is considered a fourplex. So you could have up to a 4-unit apartment, necessarily speaking. And the R4 is just for mobile homes. That's the only thing that's allowed in that district. So typically you see our mobile home zone R4.
And just from rough estimate, approximately, I'm going to say close to 2/3 of that then is R2.
Correct.
And the other third is about R4.
Yep.
Okay. Councilor Hellweg?
Thank you, and thank you for Mr. Wood for being a property owner in my ward. And so I have a lot of thoughts, and I'll try to be as organized as I can. So I appreciate your willingness to be here and being open to communication and open to support. I think that's really important. You have the grave misfortune of coming on the heels of another rezoning from a mobile home park that did not go very well.
Yeah.
And so the reality is that while on the one hand, the city council is really looking at the property and the appropriateness of the zoning, ultimately, this can result in the property owner's decision-making on the development, right? And so that in that previous case on the cottage villa, there were a lot of people who were substantially harmed, not only by the actual action of changing things, but the long time that it took. And so in that respect, I also want to thank Johnny Walker for all of the support that you gave then, and also coming to planning and zoning and discussing those challenges with moving these homes. Because the reality is that when you are changing this development, yes, they have the opportunity to move, but as you just said, more than likely these homes are not able to be moved either because they are not structurally sound or because the size would not fit in another area. And so while the city council in, let's see, 2018, 7 years ago, made some changes to ensure that mobile homes could be moved within the city, that doesn't really help those folks a lot if their homes are not structurally sound. And so the challenge then is that ultimately this is resulting in an improvement of your ground land property with the destruction of people's personal property, ultimately. And so with that said, I think a delay in rezoning, if you're open to that, is really important because I would like to see more time. And the last time things were rushed and then things sat empty for 6 years. And so I think that's really important to make sure that people have the appropriate amount of time to get their finances and resources in order. So thank you for that. I'd like this body to consider that as a possibility in the future. I think we need to have some standard measures for rezoning delays. Let's see, I also am curious about this assistance, what that would look like, and I want to know if there are opportunities for these folks to relocate to any of your existing properties or anything like that, if their homes are not able to be moved. I also want to know about the current zoning. Is the property that's currently out of non-compliance or let me rephrase this. The area in which there is non-compliance is currently R2. Is that land insufficient for the plans that you have? Because I can see that area being, since it's out of conformity, being the area that could be rezoned. So that's one question. I also want to know, and I haven't gotten this clear yet, how many units that we're talking about, because I did see the notes about the parking, and so that would reduce the number of units that would be available. And so if we're moving from 6 units to 6 units, right, then how much does that actually change? And so I want to, if you can answer those 2 questions, that would really help.
On the zoning and parking, I'll be very honest with you, I don't have anything drawn up yet. I have some ideas, but my first idea is to get through this, and what we have to do. I can give options to the tenants, but they still have to act on them. So we'll work with them, we'll communicate with them, and that's about all I can do. Give them options, and then they have to act on them. For the plans, I don't have any plans. I have some basic ideas what we'd like to do, but I can't give you a unit number. But I'm excited about it. I'm not excited about this part and, having to move people on. But they're going to have some time, and time has changed, and sometimes it hurts. In this case, I think it'll be better. I think it'll be better for them too. I don't think some of the conditions might not be up to everybody's standards. And maybe that's not their fault. So we'll do what we have to do, and we'll work with the city, we'll work with you guys, and we want a smooth transition. What else did you want me to speak on?
Sure.
I just think it's very difficult to move ahead on a rezoning out of R2 that already allows for apartments.
Right.
If there's no plan to have higher density that would require the R3, since it's already zoned for that. And so I realize that's one property, but there's still,
Well, when you buy property, commercial property, multifamily housing property, you buy property that you can fit the max amount of units on, or you're wasting money. I saw this property across the street. I passed on it 15 years ago. It was for sale, and I didn't buy it. This time, I thought, we'll take a shot at it. And communicating with the owners, It worked out. I think it's a good area of town. But to answer your question, when you buy something, you want to use the max potential of that property.
Can I ask a question
Go
for
ahead.
the city as well? So the resident, Julie Berry, who wrote her letter, asked about updates, and I appreciate that our property owner here, you've said that you would be open to continue your communication, and so we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I can't hold you to that, but the public court and the YouTubes and the people can. But I want to ask if, as a city, if we have the ability to also communicate with the residents if and when permits are issued, extensions are granted, or if expectations change, if that's something that we can do as our staff as well.
When a building permit's been issued, that's a matter of public record, and so that's something that anybody could take a look at, a building permit, and understand that. And then in that file, if there's an extension granted, which would be if they don't, is it 12 months or 18 months?
I think it's 12 months.
12 months. So if it's not completed in 12 months, then it can be, there's a process that they go through with a building official, and they can have it extended for up to another year. So that would be the extent of it. When a contractor is going to pour concrete or frame or those sorts of things, we don't have that information. It's just simply when the building permit's issued.
One more, go ahead.
Thank you. So since we're here on the public record, John Prescott, could you also talk a little bit about the availability of grants for relocation, both the sort of technical side, what might be available, and the practical side of the actual availability of those grants?
Sure. You referenced the project in 2017-18 with Cottage Place, keep the name straight there, Cottage Place, and we did work with South Dakota Housing Development Authority to try to, and they did award us some grant funding to help. At first, it was the residents there, but they limited their funding to being certain actions. For example, if I remember correctly, they would not pay for moving, but if it was placed in a new mobile home court and it needed skirting, they could apply for funding that way. Without going back, I want to say there were 17 mobile homes that were involved with that. I may be wrong, but that number comes to mind with that project. It was very, very difficult to be able to place that funding with the individuals because at the end of the day, as was referenced at Planning and Zoning Commission, most of those units could not be moved. And so we had a really hard time. Then we opened that up to all the mobile home parks in the community because we simply could not get it passed out to the members that were previously Cottage Villa residents. And we still struggled to get that passed out. James Purdy spent a lot of time working. And it was a combination of, they were relatively small items that individuals might need in finding contractors to build a set of stairs, to do things like that. The contractors at that time were very busy with other projects. And so they, it was very difficult to actually place that. I think we ended up getting most of the money spent, but I'd have to go back to look up to see if we were able to end up using it all.
Good.
Let's see, either John Prescott or maybe John, maybe you know, do we know what the approximate cost is for moving one of these units? And also, do we know how much it might cost, should the unit not be able to be moved, the cost of moving the property, moving the, essentially, debris at that point?
I have no clue.
No.
That's all right.
So it all depends on the, John Walker, Walker Construct. So it all depends on the size of the trailer. I can tell you we're doing about 4 or 5 over at Westgate because they're getting rid of, it ranged from 4,200 to 5,500. So I would say if we did all 6, it'd be a package deal for Bill, maybe $4,000 a piece, you know, and it all goes to the landfill, so.
And as you said, moving the debris sort of would cost that much, regardless of where you're moving it, right? That's
Yeah,
what the
if
cost
we
would
tear
be.
it out, or, what I'm afraid of, and then it's like, I did a couple, 3 over there, for Mr. Polling's deal, is they hooked onto them and it buckled.
Right.
And then you can't do anything with them.
Right.
Once they bend, they're done, so.
So, thank you. So the follow-up question that I have then is, So if these are renters of this area, right, who are, as Ms. Berry is pointing out, likely on lower socioeconomic status and might not have disposable income to, pay $4,000 for moving their property or for removing their destroyed property to the landfill, that would mean that they would essentially might have to leave that property, the personal property, on your land property, right? What is your intention with that debris, and would you ever seek judgment against those people who might not be able to afford that cost that you would then have to incur?
No, I've thought about that, and no, I wouldn't. That's part of the project, and I'm aware that at the time given, it could be 30 days, you could give them 90 days, you could give tenants, and they would probably act the last 2 weeks before the deadline came. So I've thought about it, and that will be an expense that I will have to carry.
I really appreciate you saying that and stating that on public record, because again, it's going to be very challenging for people, even if they're just talking about moving their personal property inside of their home without having to, worry about the cost of moving that debris later. So thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
No more? Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? I also just want to remind, this is the first reading. We will have a second reading on this as well, if passed is the first, I should say. Is there any other comments or questions that people have on this?
Can I ask a question here?
Absolutely.
Mr. Wood, I have two questions, actually. The first is, you said it's across the street from the property that you already own. Is that in the green, the 13, 12, and 11?
11, 12, 13, 5, and 6.
Okay, so you own that whole stretch of property there?
Yes.
And those are apartments there in 11, 12, and 13?
Yep, and there's 2 lots on 5 and 6.
Can you tell us a little bit about those properties that you own and manage?
They're all, there's 12 3-bedroom apartments there. When I bought those 15, 16 years ago, the 2 lots came along with it. So yeah, it's been, I like the area, or I wouldn't have expanded. Like I said, I had a chance 10, 12 years ago to buy part of that trailer, and I didn't.
And the 5 and 6 lots are empty, or are they parking?
Empty.
They're empty?
Yep.
Are you planning to develop those too as part of this project?
I can't answer that right now. Probably not at the same time, no.
Okay. The other question I had was about, you've mentioned a June 1st, 2026 as sort of in line with when many of the leases in town expire. But I remember in the memo, there was something about, that in order for a building permit to be pulled, this ordinance would need to, the zoning change would need to be in place for that to happen, right? So my question is, when would you, if you plan on June 1st, 2026 as a sort of a target date of this project getting underway, when would the building permit have to happen?
Well, let's back up. I would give the tenants that currently live there until June 1st of 2026. That is their time of, we need to move along. And I might not decide in June. Depends on the economics right now. So if things come back and I don't feel good about it, we'll just leave it alone.
Mostly I'm trying to, I think it would be a good idea if this body did establish a delay, if we have the power and means to do so. But I'm trying to figure out what a reasonable delay for your project would be that wouldn't hinder you from moving forward, but would still be a reasonable delay for us to establish.
I mean, my understanding from Julie's letter and the gentleman that was there the other night, they're looking for a time frame so they can make some plans too. And I don't want, because it's going to take some plans, from engineers and some to put this project together. So it's going to take me some time too. So it's not like, pat me on the back, I'm a good guy. And it's timing for everyone here, with the city, with the tenants, with me. And I want to be fair, so.
So if we were to establish a delay for this zoning change to take place, what would be fair to you and your project?
I would say June.
Thank you.
That's quite a few, I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
We didn't really talk about any time frame at all.
Not yet, no. Let me ask Jose this question. So if this were to be rezoned, and say the scenario Mr. Wood had explained that things don't line up properly for him and delays the project, and now we're into 2027, and that was R3 and now it's unconforming still, is there any repercussions that Mr. Wood would have then, because that would be out of zoning compliance?
No, there wouldn't be any repercussions to Mr. Wood. It would be similar to the ones on the south side of this. Those are already non-conforming, have been like that since 2008. We haven't asked them to do anything with those trailer courts, move them or anything of that sort. Now, the only thing that Mr. Wood wouldn't be able to do, if he chose at that time, is actually move in another trailer into that area, because at that point then you can't bring something that's non-conforming, that's new to the area, if that makes sense.
So it would just prevent new trailers from coming
Yep,
into?
it would prevent from new trailers coming into the area.
And the way it sits right now, you can't move any new trailers into that R2 area, only the R4 on the north.
Correct.
Okay. Councilor Holloway?
I think ultimately what we want to hear is that you are not going to force these folks out without actually moving on to development. We understand need for development. We understand and appreciate need for expansion, all of those things, right? We have had long discussions about many times. But when we are talking about forcing people out of their homes and causing the destruction of their homes and their property, that's a different thing that's very serious. And so ultimately, if this is the move you're gonna make, then make sure you do it, right? And do it right. Because if we see again a lot that just sits empty after rushing into things and forcing people out, that is an enormous detriment to this community.
I agree.
And the reality is that many of those folks are on these fixed incomes and are challenges. And ultimately, we're also supporting, our food bank and our, local supportive structures as well. And so we can't continue to expand the amount of homelessness that's already growing in our community and the food needs that are already growing in our community. And so if we're moving for development, then let's make sure that we do that, and let's make sure that we're communicating and supportive in that process. And what we don't want to see is making this change and forcing folks out either through building permit or outrageous lot rent increases or cancellation of leases, or I understand that they're 30-day leases, but they're generally renewable leases. And so that's ultimately what we're asking. Right. Thank you.
So are you asking once I decide to move forward?
I'm
You want it in
asking.
You want it in a timely fashion. You don't want me to vacate what's over there and then just sit there with this vacant land?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that won't happen.
Anything else? Councilor Toller?
One question, Jose, you probably answer this one. Let's just say we do like a delayed rezoning till June 1st or kind of what we mentioned over there. Does that affect the potential pulling of building permits and getting the ball rolling and somewhere before then?
In reality, if Mr. Wood, I guess, wanted to build an apartment prior to that day, he wouldn't be able to do it because the ordinance is not effective until whatever date's chosen by the council.
Okay.
After that day, then he can pull a permit, but prior to that, he couldn't, to build a new apartment. But if it had to do with a demolition of an existing mobile home or something of that sort, then that would be acceptable to do, just not new construction to a different zoning district.
So just to clarify what I heard correctly on that, is that by delaying the effective date for the rezoning, say June 1st, this would then help secure the building not being placed until then. So those residents would have a more definitive time frame. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, you're essentially setting the time frame for the owners of the trailer courts as far as when they have to be out, if that's the case. And as Mr. Wood said, just because the council may set June 1st as the effective date, that doesn't mean that he's going to be doing something June 2nd. It could be, a couple months after that, or a time frame after that. But prior to that date, whatever date that may be, he wouldn't be able to do anything with that use that would be allowed in the R3 district.
And my main goal tonight, is to get part of this development started with R3. To be fair to the people that are there, and it's all a piece of the road will go down. But I'm not in any hurry, but I would like to see it changed to R3. That opens up for future development and investment for that property to be where I want it to be, so.
I want to take a quick second to thank Mr. Wood for being transparent here today and on record for a lot of this stuff, considering with a private landowner, something like this is obviously very emotional for the homeowners, for the landowners, for the council even. It's a difficult situation to be in, and quite frankly, if you were a landowner, you'd be well within your right to say, nope, your lease is done and you gotta find a spot in 30 days. And from what I see here and from the conversations I've had with you, that's not your intent. And I want to say thank you and having some decency on that and trying to work with the citizens. I do understand that. I want to say I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a difficult situation. And I don't think there's going to be any easy way of doing it.
No.
But I want to commend you on coming to the council and being transparent with that.
I appreciate you guys.
Is there any other comments from the council at all? Councilor Murrah?
I just want to second what the mayor just said there. I appreciate you being here and being transparent with it all. And then I would also like to address the council a little bit here. Even if we go ahead with the rezone, first reading of it tonight, he's personally setting, from what I'm hearing, a June 1st, 2026 date. So I don't know that we have to set that date. You know what I mean? He's not going to do anything until June 1st, 2026. So for us to go ahead with the rezone tonight isn't going to change anything. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to hurt anything. He's given that 9 months from now. So in my opinion, I think we should go ahead with the rezone, first reading, passing it tonight, and just move on. That way he can start on his end, getting his engineers involved and his designers involved and trying to figure out what he wants to do with that space come June 1st of next year. So I would actually make the motion to advance the first reading of this.
Okay. Motion to advance the second reading. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Councilor Toller. Any other discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Lieber. Can you turn your mic on? Sorry.
Is your motion with or without the June 1st date on there? In other words, are we moved passing to the second reading that would be effective on June 1st?
I don't think we need to have a date in it. I think Mr. Wood has put the date out there, and I know him, and I take him at his word that he won't do anything till then, and then go with that. So,
okay. I just wanted a clarification is all.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification. Councilor Toller, you're still good with that same second then? Any other discussion on the motion? Councilor Genowine?
But there is still a timeline for this, right? So what would be the effective date if we were to pass the second?
Pass the second reading, Jose?
So if no extensions were given, the effective date would be October 16th of this year.
Okay,
Go ahead,
and just curious, if for some reason our second reading we have second thoughts about this decision whether or not to delay, would that be a significant change? I think I'm just curious.
Is an effective date and a significant change so that we'd have to start all over again, is what you're asking?
Yeah, no, good question. John and I did corresponded a little earlier today about that. I think, you know, the answer is it depends, but I think it arguably would be, so you'd do a second reading, start over if that's what you wanted to do, and then, or you could delay your second reading too. I mean, there's some options, and I'm just still thinking about maybe the best way to do it, but I think we can accomplish what the landowner wants to do, and whether that's a memorandum with him or an agreement with him, or working with, you know, looking at you know, you're obviously a home rule charter, so if state law doesn't specify, then you have the ability to do that how the city council wants to handle it. So I think we have some options, and I can't sit here and tell you with the best way, but I think you can accomplish what the landowner wants to and delay it till June 1st.
Okay.
The effectiveness or the enforcement date maybe is a better way to say that, so.
Okay, and to be clear, like, I don't doubt what you say.
No, I'm with
just,
you. I'm with you.
No. Considering. Trust but verify.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I mean, you know, honestly, if it's weighing on the back of your minds, if, you know, the city attorney wants to write something up, I'm more than willing to sign, you know, to the June 1st.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
John, maybe you have some different thoughts, because like I said, we corresponded a little bit on that today.
If we wanted, I guess I'm not, I struggle a little bit with an MOU and agreement, because how we have that running in parallel to an ordinance with an effective date on it. I guess I struggle, I've not seen that before, so I'm not sure what that looks like.
Well, just to clarify that, I'll get to you, Councilor Holland. Just to clarify, if we were to get to second reading and change the effective date and wanted to push it further, we'd have to go back to a first reading. Essentially, we're accomplishing what we wanted to do anyways, that's pushing it back further.
Correct.
So
And I guess where I'd like to look at it get a little more detailed look at it is, you know, can you do a second reading, and in that second reading specify this will take effect on June 1st, 2026. So it's adopted and approved, but it actually says we're not going to have an effective date or enforcement of that ordinance until June 1 of 2026. I want to look at that a little more, because I think that's certainly an option, as opposed to just delaying the second reading until March of next year or something.
Okay. Is yours on the same stuff, Councilor Holland, or can I let her follow up real quick?
Oh.
Go ahead, follow up.
I'm just curious how, I mean, we've done similar things with like,
Water
tree where we had the first reading and then delayed the second reading until much later and didn't have the effective dates dated at that time, right?
Agreed. That's certainly another option for you as a council to look at.
Councilor Helwig, I think you had your hand up first. Or no, I'm sorry, Councilor Holland had his up. Yeah. Go ahead, Councilor Holland.
It's quick anyway. Mr. Wood has agreed and said that June 6th would be acceptable to him. And to be point blunt, if we don't put that in there, I won't vote for it. I'll vote no, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Councilor Helwig.
Those who have followed me for a while know that one of the most important things is that I don't like writing policy for people. And so I think it's much more important that we do so with precedent and that we do so with standards. Yeah. And so I think this is really a good opportunity. Like, you know, I don't want to write policy around you just for you being the good guy, and then the bad guy comes around and tries to do the same thing. It doesn't work out, right? And so I think this is a good opportunity to set the precedent and to say we want to delay these by X amount of time. And so if June 1st is the date that's agreeable, then that allows us to set that precedent that rezoning that has this kind of impact on individuals requires a delay, and that's the kind of standard that we would like to set. And so I think if the property owner is amenable to it, that makes a better standard and precedent for us to write policy around, rather than, well, he's a good guy, so we should take him at his word. which is great, but not a good way to write policy.
I think there's one more, Counselor Cheeseman.
So I agree wholeheartedly with you. I won't vote for this unless we have that date delay of June 1st.
Any other discussion on the motion at hand to advance to the first reading, or second reading? Okay, seeing none, Katie, you want to do roll call?
Taller?
Yes.
Lieber?
No.
Price?
No.
Holland?
No.
Genowine?
No.
Helwig?
No.
Cheeseman?
No.
Murrah? Miracle?
No.
2 yeses and
Thank you.
With that, is there another motion?
Yeah, move to reconsider with the different date,
Motion to reconsider the date of
June 1st, 2026.
June 1st of 2026.
Yes.
Motion to reconsider with the effective date of June 1st, 2026 by Counselor Genowine. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Cheeseman. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, I'm sorry. Let's do a roll call vote on that, Katie.
Taller?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Holland?
Yes.
Genowine?
Yes.
Helwig?
No.
Cheeseman?
Yes.
Murrah?
Nope.
Miracle?
Yes.
2 noes.
Motion carries. Counselor Howard?
Thank you. So I want to say that one of the reasons I voted no is because while I do think that rezoning under these conditions is appropriate and these are the kind of steps that we should be taking, I want to vote no to make sure that we have a public record that shows that this was a controversial topic and something that I would like to address again in the future. And so I think this is more than likely the appropriate move, but I think it's good for us on the city council to show that record of someone in opposition when we've had that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item we have, where are we at? 6B, special daily wine and cider license for the Vermillion Cultural Association on September 27th through the 28th for the Vermillion Vortex Film Festival.
Vermillion Cultural Association has submitted an application for a special daily wine and cider license for the 2025 Vermillion Vortex Film Festival event on September 27th from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and September 28th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Pocket Park next to the Coyote Twin Theater. The notice of public hearing and police chief's memo were attached. The police chief's report states that there have been no alcohol-related violations with this event in the past. The police chief spoke with Shannon Cole and discussed safety measures that will be placed to help mitigate any problems. The city has received all of the money for the fees for the event, and administration recommends approval of the license unless additional information is provided.
Okay, Nick, are there any visitors to be heard on this? Seeing none, move to council for any discussion. Any motions?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Councilor Hollins, a second by Councilor Price. Any other discussion on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion carries. I'm going to take a brief recess before we start new business for you to utilize the facilities. So we'll reconvene here in about 90 seconds. Convene. The record reflect that Mr. Cheeseman had to excuse himself. Moving on to new business. Review the use of malt beverage markup receipts collected. John.
Thank you. Back in 2015, when we were adopting ordinance 1325, we included language in there that when a budget is before you for the next year, we would annually review where the money went for the past year and where it's proposed to go for the upcoming year. So what we do when we send out, in this case would have been the July malt beverage markup statements, we included a notice in there of the meeting taking place. So that went out in the first part of August. Included notice to all of our license holders of the hearing this evening. We've always, again, done this with the first reading of the budget ordinance for the following year. Since the ordinance went into place in 2015, all of the proceeds from the malt beverage markup have gone into the general fund for the Prentice Park General Obligation Bond. And in your council agenda memo, it gives you the history as to the amount that was collected, or the amount that was billed, and then the debt service each year for those respective years. The malt beverage markup does not pay the entirety of the cost. The second penny fund has made up the balance. For example, in 2026, our annual debt service for this bond is $197,725. We project that the malt beverage markup next year will bring in $150,000. So we gave you the history of those, and at no point in time has the malt beverage markup exceeded that which we've collected. So with that, that's kind of the synopsis. We also did include a lot of history there with regard to all the different funds that were expended to help make the Prentice Park improvements starting back in 2017. The basketball courts, the pool, the parking lot, the sidewalks, the ball field, all those different things that we had funded. That was all spelled out in the memo there. At this point in time, we recommend review of the information that's provided to you, any public comments on the malt beverage markup, and we do recommend continuing the 5% malt beverage markup to continue to repay the general obligation bond that was issued for those Prentice Park improvements.
Thank you, John. Any visitors to be heard on this? Seeing none, council for any discussion? Discussion by council?
I believe it's to,
I'm sorry? Just to continue it? We have to make a motion to move that, or if we don't make a motion, it doesn't move forward? Is that how that works? Okay. I didn't know, do we have to make a motion either way is what I'm asking?
I believe the motion would be to accept the report because the ordinance we adopted an ordinance to put the malt beverage markup in place. So
It's to close the public input on the malt beverage markup and continue the wholesale license fee at 5%.
Okay. I'll make that one. What she said.
I'll second and tell people they need to drink more beer for the Prentice Park.
And don't drive, but don't drive. It's for the kids. It's for. I'm gonna tell my wife that every time I crack open one, it's for the kids. It's for the kids. Motion by Counselor Myrna, second by Counselor Price. Counselor Tyler, you have something?
Well, quick question. When is this supposed to be paid off here, John? Looks like it's about 8 years.
Yep, it was a 20-year bond that we had there.
And we're in 8 years, is that what it said? Or have 8 years left? 3.
Oops.
We're in the 8th year.
So it's 12 more years.
Yes.
Should be 8 more years in this bond issue, I believe.
No, okay.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. I kind of look at it as a sin tax, but I understand I understand the purpose for it. But for that note, I'll be okay with it, supporting the kids in the park. So, any other discussion on this? All in favor, signify by saying yay. 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 Those that oppose say nay. Motion carries. Next item, Human Relations Commission. So in July of 2018, the City of Vermillion created the Human Relations Commission. The ordinance provides 7-member commission made up of city residents. 6 of them are residents at least one is a student from the university. on the residents. The commission serves a 3-year term, except for the student, which is a 1-year term. Currently, the appointments we have there's one vacant position. I do want to note that I believe all of these members of the commission, with the exception of one, is fairly new, within a year or year-ish on the commission. In the last month or so, one of the commission members resigned, and in the last few weeks, the opening has been advertised for the city of Vermillion on the website, in meetings, and on social media. We did receive, I believe it was 4 applications.
Yep.
4 applications for it. I am recommending to the council put forward and appoint Jordan Bonstrom, who's one of the applicants. Jordan has served on the Human Relations Commission before. This term is for approximately 1 year to fulfill that vacancy, and I believe that with Jordan's experience and knowledge, he'd be a valuable asset at this time. As noted before, it's a rather young, and I don't mean age, but I just mean the experience of the commission, and I think that Jordan would bring some good knowledge and insight from being on the commission before and also being chair of the commission. I think he's very much a plug-and-play kind of option, and currently right now we've had some issues with getting a quorum so that this commission can even form a meeting. So I think that Jordan also had a good attendance record and was able to make a lot of the meetings as well. So on that note, I would like to present Jordan Bonstrom for the appointment of the Human Relations Commission. Is there any visitors to be heard on this? Seeing none, council for any discussion or motions? Got a motion to approve by Councilor Genowine, and a second by Councilor Murrah. Any other discussion on this appointment? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, saying nay. Motion carries. Next item, we have a resolution fixing the time and place for a hearing and notice of hearing on the special assessment rule for nuisance abatement.
Thank you. As part of the nuisance abatement process, the city has incurred costs for grass, snow tagging, weed tagging, hiring contractors to mow or removing snow, and also removal of debris. The special assessment process provides that the governing body set a public hearing and notify the public property owners of the hearing by both sending a notice in the mail and publishing the notice of the hearing in the paper. The notice calls for the public hearing to be held on October 6, 2025, and then following the public hearing on October 6th, the city council will be asked to adopt a resolution approving the special assessment roll. Administration recommends the adoption of the resolution to set a public hearing of October 6th for the special assessment roll for nuisance abatements.
And council for any discussion on this? Councilor Price?
I'm just trying to interpret some of these numbers. So if I remember, we adopted a sort of a tiered system, right? That the first violation is, it looks like $15.93. And then if people were repeat violators, the fee went up to sort of increase the severity of that. Is that right?
Yes, so in 2023, the tagging was $15.93. In 2024, it went up. And then there is also a tiered system on that. Most of these are also larger amounts because people didn't mow, so then we sent a contractor out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion on this? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Councilor Price. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Holland. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. Motion carries. Next item we have is first reading of ordinance 1539. It's the budget revision ordinance for 2025.
Thank you. We do this a couple times a year. We'll have the first budget revision right now, and they'll have another cleanup one, as we call it, kind of in December, late November, early December. This is addressing our 2025 budget. So last August of 2024, you had budget hearings, discussed the 2025 budget, and then you adopted an ordinance in 2025 to establish that. We never quite get the budget right in terms of how all those different lines are going to work out. So then each year in September, once we're getting ready to adopt the budget for the next year, we go back in and adjust this. And again, a lot of these changes we talked about during the budget meeting on August 13th. The changes in the ordinance kind of reflect a couple different things. I'll just touch on two of the funds. Our general fund, it's proposed with this ordinance to be revised from about 9.8 million to about 10.5 million. That general fund change is roughly about 690,000. You had a couple of expenditures that took place. One was we actually transferred some of the general fund money to our TIF 8 project fund. We talked about that last year, but we didn't have that exact amount with demolition, the abatement of the asbestos in the Jolly School site and those things. We transferred in some general fund money and second penny funds for that. So that is a part of the significant change to the budget for the general fund for 2025. The other change was our STIP reserve fund to do the portion of Carr Street that's being constructed right now. Part of our general fund is our STIP reserve. We had talked about that project. That project was not bid and awarded until late last year. And so now we do know what that amount is. So that's transferring $449,000 from what is part of our general fund into the project fund for Carr Street. So those are the two large changes that really impacted our general fund. The second penny fund, we also have a couple changes there. That one has a bigger change. It's going from about 2.7 million to 4.3 million. There are three main things that are the drivers of that change. One, again, is this: we moved over about 505,000 of second penny funds from the second penny into the TIF 8 project fund. Again, that's for the demolition of building, preparing the site, all those sorts of things. The Masaba rebate, we had not fully budgeted for that in our second penny, so we were correcting that error. And then the last one was the tennis pickleball facility. We'd had a lot of discussions about that, but that project was not bid at that point in time, and so we had not allocated for that exact expenditure. It was well known, we just hadn't had done that yet. So this ordinance before you that would recommend advancing to a second reading at your next meeting would make some of those corrections with ordinance 1539 to our 2025 appropriations ordinance. Would recommend approval.
Thank you, John. Any visitors to be heard on this? Council for any discussion? Is there a motion to approve the first reading? Motion by Councilor Lieber, is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Price. Any other discussion on the first reading? All those in favor of the first reading of the 2025 budget revision ordinance, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion carries. Next will be the first reading for the 2026 budget appropriation ordinance.
Statutorily, as you might guess, or the public may be aware, every year you need to, by statute, set a budget for the upcoming year, and you're required to do that prior to October 1st. So the council spent their own personal time going through the budget, reading it, preparing for it, and then they spent, I don't know, about 4 or 5 hours in a budget meeting on August 13th where we talked about changes to the 2025 budget as well as the proposed budget for 2026. So just to hit on a couple of things in our 26 budget proposal, our property tax revenues will go to just over 3.3 million with next year's budget. This is an increase of just over 237,000. That's a couple different things that make that up. Part of it is the growth that's allowed by state statute. It's growth outside of our TIF districts, and most importantly, the biggest change is related to tax increment financing district number 6 closing. So when that was closed by the council in June of this year, the first phase of List Point, those property taxes now go to the city, the county, the school district, and the water district. So we see that change reflected with next year's budget. Our sales tax revenues for 2026, we are projecting a 3% increase, so each penny of sales tax is just under $2.5 million. That might seem like a kind of a bold statement to have a 3% increase in there. Particularly our state finished their fiscal year a little bit lower than what they'd anticipated. Some first-class cities are struggling. But that number is still higher than our 2023 and 2024 actuals. So we feel a little bit more comfortable about that number perhaps than just a 3% increase that way. The budget does include 3% COLAs for the city employees, step increases as might be appropriate, as well as for city council member salaries. Our bed board boost fund, I skipped over that one. That's projected to be increased about 2% next year. Our collections to bring in about $422,000. A lot of that goes for economic development and some of our outside agencies, as we call them, in the community, as it pertains to our budget. We do have a couple of utility rate increases in there. One you talked about at noon, and that'll be a discussion point for your next meeting on September 15th. One of those is our sanitary sewer rates. As we get ready to embark on this $20.8 million project, we have adjustments to our sanitary sewer rates. So we'll have that as part of our budget. We've included that change in there. Our curbside recycling fee is projected to be increased 10 cents a month from $3.90 to $4. And then our stormwater increase would be about 3%. That generates about $9,000 more for us, just under 10, I should say, with regard to that. I kind of referenced that we have 2 large projects coming up next year, large major projects for infrastructure. The wastewater treatment plant that I mentioned, just under $21 million worth of construction, a multi-year project. And then also our water treatment plant will be having some bids hopefully come before you, I believe, in the October timeframe for your consideration for that project. So those are major projects. The budget still includes, as is typical, we have our street maintenance projects, improvements that way, a lot of equipment purchases, library materials, outside agency funding. Exciting things maybe for the public. We're going to be refurbishing the slide at Prentice Plunge. That has seen some age on it, and we need to make some improvements there, as well as the basketball court at Prentice Park. Our fire and EMS station built in the late 80s, that needs some work with regard to updating that building, so we're doing that. So there's a lot of, to me, very exciting and fun things in this budget. Unfortunately, I can guarantee you that we won't get it quite right. That will be back with the revised budget ordinance next year as we have different things that maybe come in higher or expenses are lower, whatever that might be, to finalize those numbers. But a special thank you to our employees who suggest ideas, our department heads who help to prepare that, and then the city council for all the time that you spend going through that, preparing for those meetings and the discussions that are had there. With that, we'd recommend advancing ordinance 1540 to a second reading at your next meeting.
Thank you, John. Any visitors to be heard? Council for discussion? I just want to note, thank you for everybody on working on that. I also want to say thank you in getting that done in one long meeting instead of 2. It's not easy, and I don't think the public quite understands what all goes into that, but it's a lot. So thank you on that. On that note, is there a motion to approve the first reading of the 2026 budget?
Motion to move it to second reading.
Motion to move to the second reading by Councilor Holland. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Price. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed saying nay. Motion carries. Next item we have is a resolution on the pro forma asset transfer for Blue Peak Cable.
So in July of 2021, the city entered into a cable franchise agreement with Blue Peak, but today we're focusing on we're asking the city council to consider granting consent to the pro forma asset transfer and adoption of the attached resolution. But why are we kind of looking at that today? Blue Peak is moving the cable television assets to a wholly owned subsidiary as cable television assets are being transferred from one company to another. The cable television franchise agreement requires that the city council approve it. A copy of the letter from Blue Peak was attached that explained the transfer. Any transfer will not result in any changes to services, rates, terms, or conditions that are currently offered. Administration recommends approval of the resolution consenting to the transfer of control of the Blue Peak cable television franchise.
Thank you, Alex. Any visitors to be heard? Council for discussion? Motions? Councilor Holland?
I don't know if you can answer this, I'm just a curiosity. This is a private business, isn't it? Why are we giving approval for a private business to change?
Because they have a franchise agreement with us.
Okay.
So they pay us for that franchise agreement, so we have to know who has the franchise agreement with us. So right now it's Blue Peak, so when we transfer it, it's going to be this clarity.
So all we have to do is change it. Well, okay, it just seems strange that we're telling what private industry can do.
So the private industry is the one who's doing the change.
Yeah, they're making a change and we're okay because we have that agreement with them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second? Second by Counselor Helwig. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next item, we have the Carnegie Library restoration.
Thank you. With the Carnegie Library, we were offered a grant, or were notified that we received a $14,000 grant in 2024. The city has the option to use the grant, but if we spend the $14,000, we have to give we have to put in $14,000 as well. And with that, we did request 5 quotes from contractors that were listed on the State Historic Preservation site. We received 2 quotes back. First one was from Historic of Michigan City. Their total cost was about $96,000. We did get in contact with Scott Peterson in Tyler, Minnesota. He proposed removing this lower window here. Removing this window would allow us to get inside the dome to kind of see the extent of the damage within it and kind of understand the repair that is needed. With just removing that window and repairing it, that would be about $9,400, but he would also be able to provide a quote for the work that would be needed for the dome itself. He could be here later this year to perform the work and evaluate what is actually needed. The copy of both quotes from Historic and Scott Peterson are attached. The city does have $30,000 for 2025 budgeted. If this project would move to 2026, we would have to rebudget or kind of figure out where we would get money for this. So today, we're kind of recommending that the city council make the decision on either restoring the Carnegie Library or kind of letting that grant go if we decide that the cost is going to be too much.
Any visitors to be here on this? Council for any discussion on this? Counselor Holland?
Is there a time limit on that loan? Do we have to make a decision this year? Or that grant, I should say?
Discussion with Liz, if we do need a second extension, we could do that, but it is, we would want to try and use the funds within the year, but if we can't use up all the funds, we can move it to another grant cycle, or they would.
I'm pretty sure we could use all the funds. I'm in agreement with the second bidder, because the other one bid blind, so it's going to be high, obviously. So looking at it, getting the window open and looking at it and see what it is, I would expect to come in with a much lower cost. But we could easily spend, we'd have to spend 14 of our own, be $28,000, right? But, so I'm confused. If we say, let's spend it, we can't spend it this year, that's really pushing it too quick, isn't it? Or did he say he'd be able to get all that done this year?
I think he said he would be able to try and get the window done for sure. I'm not sure on the dome itself because we don't know the damage that's inside of it.
Right.
Or what the work would all entail, but I'm pretty sure he would try and work with his schedule and our schedule to try and get it done within the year.
So that's $9,000. So if we tried to use a grant this year, we'd only be able to use, what, 4,500 of it, right? Because we have to pay the other half.
Correct.
We can do that?
So one thing with these funds is they seem to be pretty flexible. So probably about 2 years ago, we did the historic, there's a study that was funded for it, and they recommended this as the first issue that we should address as a city owner of the building, and then they also listed a couple other priorities. So if magically he were able to open that up and finds that it only needs whatever $9,000 worth of work, they've given us the impression that we make an amendment that instead we need to use it for windows, the balance of it, that they're very flexible in terms of moving it to another one of these identified needs in the building. So I think there's a very good chance, if we're willing to match it, that we'll be able to utilize their funds as long as they approve the respective projects that we're doing.
Have we budgeted a match?
We did for 2025, yes.
I move that we use it. I don't know how to word that. Yes, let's see, can we automatically pick the second bidder? I mean, they're not really bidding the same thing. One saying, I'm charging you for looking at it, and the other one saying this is what it's going to cost.
Well, it's under the amount, so do we need to? We don't have to.
I believe the State Historic Society wanted to have the governing body give us direction on it, so.
Okay.
Gotcha.
in favor of taking a second bid and seeing what we've got.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
So motion to take the second bid, the option, what was that? Scott Peterson there? Second. Okay, there's a second by Counselor Price. Any other discussion on this? Oh, unanimous consent, are you guys all okay with her coming and talk? All right, come on up. Yeah, I did.
I'm Lenny Bilberger, resident on Plum Street, but I have visited the library, and any effort you can make to restore it truly would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. There's so few of these buildings left. So if you're going to start with the windows and use that grant, please do it. I'm also on the library board, and we talk about this all of the time, and that we would love to help raise the funds to get this back into being. So if you will spend the money, I know we've visited about it quite a bit at our meetings, and we would really, this is something we can't lose, and the more damage that happens if we don't fix it, it's going to be one of those things that disappear. So as a historian, it makes you, we have something precious in Vermillion that we can't lose. So if we can get a little bit fixed and a little bit more, would be a wonderful gift.
There's a motion on the table. Any other discussion? Councilor Lieber?
Maybe premature, but if we do take the second bid, he goes in and looks at the window, at that point, if he makes a decision on what needs to be done, I think we need to rebid that second, rather than just taking what he says. I mean, we probably trust him, but I think we're better off rebidding the rest of the work that needs to be done. That's all. That's a future thing.
Okay. Well, I think right now the motion is just to let the second one take a look at it, so
Yes.
that's well within reason. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, saying nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have a declare a piece of equipment some surplus. Jose?
Thank you. So in 2016, the city purchased a used airport tug. This piece of equipment is used at the airport to move airplanes from the apron to the fuel pumps or to the hangars, vice versa. In addition to the city's tug, USD also has their own tug. This piece of equipment has recently been replaced by USD. They did purchase a new tug for the new and larger USD airplane. As it turns out, then USD gifted their old tug to the city. So what we're asking today, and just so you know, this new tug, I guess, that USD gifted to the city is newer. It has been refurbished more recently than the one the city has, and it has a little bit more of pizzazz, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's enclosed. It has windows to it, as opposed to the one that we have right now, which is open to rain, snow, wind, everything that you might see at the airport. We're asking, staff is asking the city council to declare the city's airplane tug a 1950s Army surplus version, declare it surplus, and that allow staff to sell it through a online auction site, Purple Wave.
Thank you, Jose. Any visitors to be heard on that? Council for any discussion? Just to clarify, the university gave that to us. Do we know approximately ballpark what that donation was worth?
I'm going to say that it's probably going to be worth about $10,000-$15,000, the one that we received from the university. It is about 10 years newer, and it was refurbished a lot sooner than probably 2016 as well, so yeah.
It has a lot of pizzazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is pizzazz, Jose?
It's a technical term which I can't define right now.
Councilor Holland?
I think you should change that from Purple Wave to make them and sell as an antique. I think you'll do better.
Yeah, well.
Is that a point?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilor Holland, second by Councilor Price. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion
Thank you.
carries. Next, We have a request to close Main Street from Norbeck all the way down to High on September 19th for Vermillion High School Homecoming Parade. Well, you guys have had a long meeting, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, again, the parade will be on Friday, September 19th, and the request is on Main Street from South Norbeck Street to High Street from about 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The street closure application and diagram were attached. This will be a rolling street closure like previous years. The only difference from this year is that we've asked that the closure be from 1 to 3 p.m. instead of 1 to 2:30 p.m., just kind of as a precaution if anything were to happen, and want to make sure that we have allocated enough time for the parade itself. The Vermillion High School will work with their school resource officers and school administrators to share any information about the parade. The street, police, fire, and EMS departments have all been notified, and they did not have any issues with it. There should be no financial consideration for the city, as this wouldn't result in any overtime work as it would occur during the day. Administration recommends that the City Council approve this temporary street closing for the Tanager Homecoming Parade on Friday, September 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. And this would kind of, the lines here show where it would go from.
All right. Any visitors to be heard on this?
Only if you have questions.
Does council have any questions or concerns? Motion approved by Councilor Murray, second by Councilor Price. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion carries. Just so you guys are aware, if you need a vehicle to pull a trailer, let me know again. Okay? For sitting through this, I'll help you out.
Thank you.
Next item we have is bid openings, fuel quotes.
Thank you. We received 5 fuel quotes this month for for all of the items, New Century FS1. So item number 1 is 2.609. Item 2 is $2.88.9. Item 3 is $2.69.9, and item 4 is $2.97.9.
All right. Any discussion on the fuel quotes?
Approval of the low bid.
Motion to approve the low bid by Councilor Price. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Lieber. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. City Manager's report. John, have a...
Thank you. Just a couple of meetings that are coming up before your next city council meeting on September 15th. One we just referenced a little bit ago, the Human Relations Commission does have a meeting scheduled for this Thursday, September 4th. That would be at 5:30 p.m. in the Memur Conference Room here at City Hall. Our Planning and Zoning Commission meets next Monday, September 8th at 5:30. One item on their agenda is the consideration of a rezoning request for 1313 West Cherry Street, the Studio 13 property, or West Side Inn, if you want to go back a few years. This request is to rezone this property from general business to the R3, and then it's anticipated that this would be part of your September 15th City Council agenda. And then our city's Historic Preservation Commission is meeting on Wednesday, September 10th at 9 a.m. in the Powell Conference Room here at City Hall. There will be a public hearing at your next meeting on September 15th. It's part of the Boys and Girls Club. They're making an application for a Community Development Block Grant Award, and there's a public hearing process with those applications. The city is conducting a survey on housing through September 26th. We hope that the survey results will help us identify how what repairs are needed for our existing housing stock to help maintain viability, and then to help determine how best to spend the $20,000 of grant funding that we were awarded and potentially set up a rehabilitation grant program. We did send out a postcard to a random group of addresses, but anyone is feel free to take the survey. It is available through our city's website, again through September 26th. A couple of our boards and commissions are Business Improvement District number 1. That is the board that works with the $2 per night occupied hotel room fee. The opening that we do have in that board is for somebody that is a lodging property manager or owner. We're still taking applications for that. We do have three-year terms on the city's Historic Preservation Commission that are expiring in September. At least one of these terms needs to be filled by somebody who lives in a historic district or a registered historic property. We do ask that the expression of interest forms for the Historic Preservation Commission will be accepted through this Thursday, the 4th, and then that would be part of your agenda on September 15th. And then included in your packet were 2 raffle notifications. One is the Vermillion Eagles. They will be selling $5 raffle tickets from October 19th of this year. We're selling $5 raffle tickets on October 19th, December 7th, and January 25th. It is a 50-50 drawing, with the winner receiving half of the pot and the nonprofit organization receiving the other half. The 3 beneficiaries are Vermillion High School Dance Team, Vermillion Baseball Program, and the South Dakota Special Olympics. The other raffle notification in your packet is from the USD Foundation. They are selling $20 raffle tickets from September 25th until April 18th of next year. The prize is a red Challenger 300E 4x4 that is valued at $4,000, and the proceeds from this raffle will be used to support USD athletics student scholarships. And then, if I may, Katie wanted to propose a special meeting to address one item, if we can, between the 15th and the first meeting in October.
Yes, so for the ambulance that the county is going to be purchasing for our ambulance department, the city ambulance has applied for a USDA grant, but that needs to be approved before September 29th, and today at noon was the cutoff for the plain talk for the 10-day public notice. So we were unable to make the September 15th meeting for this. So the ambulance department is asking the council if they would meet on the 22nd of September at noon, if that would work, or sometime that week, if possible, to approve this.
What date again?
September 22nd. It's a Monday.
That's right, big ambulance deal at noon.
I think the majority looks like they can do it.
Yes, I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay. And just do it at noon? Okay. All right. All right, that's it? Thank you, John. Next item, we have invoices. Has everyone had a chance to review the bills? If so, are there any questions on any items or concerns or a motion?
Move and pay our bills?
Motion to pay bills by Counselor Price. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Genowine. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. There is nothing else. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Counselor Murr, second by Counselor Lieber. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion, all those opposed, signify by saying nay. Motion carries. We're ready to just adjourn it right out.